First off, good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Good morning if you're more on the West Coast. So on behalf of the Neolite team, it is a pleasure to welcome everybody to today's event, Skylife Containment, Cleaning, and Care. So my name is Ryan Quinn. I'm the product manager for the Skylife device, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. My role at Neolite is to support our team to ensure everyone is happy and babies are healthy. If there's anything you'd like to discuss about the Skylife, good, bad, or ugly, I'm only one phone call away and would love to chat. My contact information will be displayed later on the slide, so feel free to reach out anytime. As you can see, this is currently recording, and we will be recording today's session. So if you do have to leave early, this will be available on our website for later viewing. We do ask you all to remain on mute. I think it's kind of mandatory. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll make sure to answer those at the end in our question and answer section. Finally, after our time together today, there will be an online survey that we would love for you to complete to get feedback on how this webinar was and what we could potentially do for future webinars to help support you guys. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome the presenter of Neolite's first webinar session, Kim Vittorio. Kim is a dedicated and experienced neonatal nurse and clinical educational specialist with over 25 years of experience. Kim is our Director of Clinical Education here at Neolite. She has been providing clinical education and support on the neonatal and pediatric products for most of her career. Her work, along with her amazing clinical team, involves developing educational materials, which include customer education, parent education, and web-based education for all aspects of newborn care. As you will hear today, Kim has a wealth of experience in teaching and supporting the application of phototherapy treatment for jaundice management. So with no further delay, I would like to hand it over to Kim for today's presentation.
Thanks, Ryan. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Our topic today is, of course, all about Neolite's Skylife Phototherapy device. And really, we just wanted to take you through some of the things about containment for your babies and how to use our cloud covers appropriately and how to choose which cloud cover to use. We also want to speak about cleaning of the system and care and storage of the system. And so at the end, we will certainly have time for Q&A. So if you want to type your questions in the chat or send them privately to myself or Ryan or Kelly Johnson, he's also from the Neolite team, and you'll see his name on the participants. We're happy to answer your questions. So I really wanted to just spend a few minutes talking about the AAP requirements for intensive phototherapy and why the Skylife device really does fit so well into your newborn nurseries and your NICUs, and sometimes in your pediatric units as well for readmission of babies. Phototherapy hasn't changed a whole lot since 2005, when LED technology really was brought to the forefront. I had the privilege to be part of that launch of LED lights coming out throughout the country and the world. But Neolite has brought new innovation and new technology to the market, and we're providing different care to our babies. So the AAP requirements really do speak to the spectrum of light and what wavelength we deliver to the baby to go ahead and break down that bilirubin and effectively have jaundice treated. And so the Skylife device falls right in that 430 to 475 nanometers of light to go ahead and break down the bilirubin for the babies. So we meet the requirements there. The AAP also looks at spectral irradiance. And so the guidelines for high intensity phototherapy read that you need to have lights that measure 30 nanometers or higher on a specific radiometer. And the Skylife meets that in its lowest settings. And all of you know this well, since you use the Skylife, 30 in the low setting, 45 in the high setting, and above 55 nanometers in the very high setting. So we certainly meet and exceed spectral irradiance as far as the AAP goes. And then light distance is another one that we all look at for the treatment of jaundice. And so most of us are used to overhead lights over top of our babies or spotlights over top of our babies. Some of us had used old blankets and different billy beds. And so the distance between the light and the baby has a dramatic effect on the irradiance, right? And so the Skylife fits perfectly there because now your baby is actually laying on the light. It's very high intensity, and the surface area is double or triple what our other devices that are in the market were providing. And so now you have 40% of the surface area of the child covered at high intensity. This is why we're seeing such amazing results coming out of the Skylife device. So I just wanted to make sure we covered the basics for the AAP requirements because it's really important. And I want to make sure that you all can take that back to your fellow clinicians on why the Skylife really does perform so much better than any other technology out there. And so now I really want to move into the Skylife and what you need, the parts and the pieces that you need for your babies at the bedside. Okay, so the Skylife device is here beside me. It can go into an open crib, on a radiant warmer, in an incubator. You can certainly use this at home as well. So if your baby population is at home, if you're part of a midwife group or an outpatient service, this could go into a bassinet or crib that the parents would have at home. Okay, it's less than 11 pounds, so anybody can pick the Skylife up and move it where they need to. It doesn't take up any real estate on the floor. So those of us who have been in the nursery and the NICU all know when you try to wheel devices up to this baby bed space, we don't have a lot of real estate. This doesn't take up any real estate. It now lives in your baby crib or wherever the baby is resting, warmer, isolate, so you don't have anything on the floor. Okay, you do have a cord coming from the system, but we can certainly manage a cord rather than a base rolling up to the bedside of the baby. So the Skylife device itself, and then of course we have our baby here and we have eye protection on this child. So the Skylife actually will come along with some trial Posey eye protectors, and you can certainly get those from us. So I've just secured eye protection on the baby. Nothing on the child except their diaper. And then the next thing that you want to obtain is a translucent disposable swaddle that comes from us here at the Neolite. And we have two different styles of covers, one of which is called our cloud cover. It is just a basic fitted sheet type cover. Okay, the light goes right through these covers. Now, some of you have received these covers, and while we say it functions just like a fitted sheet, sometimes we're confused because the way these are manufactured, it's actually two pieces of translucent material, and some of us felt like we needed to put the Skylife into the sheet rather than just the sheet on top of the Skylife. So for those of you who have these plain cloud covers, both pieces of fabric stay on top of the Skylife, and the elastic fitted sheet areas, if you will, go on the top and the bottom of the Skylife itself. So don't try to fit the device in between the fabric. That is the incorrect way. I'm going to show you really quick. Just going to take this down a notch so you can make sure you can see. I'm going to move my baby. Okay, so we're going to take the fitted sheet, the elastic here, and we're going to put it on top of the Skylife, and then we're going to take the bottom piece and we're going to attach it to the bottom of the Skylife, just like a fitted sheet on your bed. And it's tight and snug for a reason, right? We don't want this sliding off and getting tangled underneath of our babies. So now the Skylife has its fitted sheet on top. When we turn the light source on, this is a translucent fabric, so all of the light will come through this fabric. Our manufacturing recommendation here is to dispose of these covers every 24 hours or when they're soiled. Of course, your infection control can tell you otherwise for the 24 hours, but of course, if they're soiled, you want to take those off and obtain a new cover for yourself. And then your baby, of course, would just go right back on top of your cloud cover. I'm going to take my baby off, and I have a second cloud cover. Okay, this cloud cover is called a cloud cover plus. This one has a swaddle, if you will, attached to it. So it still has the fitted sheet elastic. It is double ply, but this one you won't want to open. It has some stitching on it. Okay, and then it has 5 pieces of translucent material surrounding the bottom half of the cover. So I'm going to remove the plain cloud cover. And I'm going to take the cloud cover plus, okay, and I'm going to put that fitted sheet elastic over the top of the Skylife, and I'm going to fit the bottom piece, okay. And now we have our 5 pieces of translucent material with some Velcro patches. So now I'm going to put my baby back onto my Skylife. Okay, baby has eye protection on. And now I'm going to swaddle this baby in this cloud cover. So I'm going to contain this child right into his phototherapy light. And it's completely up to you what you start with. So I'm just going to start with the top 2. So I'm going to take the left side, and this is very user friendly. You're going to see which one goes where just based on the Velcro. So I'm going to take the left side first, right side over top, contain the top portion of the baby. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom of the baby. And then I'm going to take my last loop, which is the bottom section of this swaddle, and I'm going to Velcro over top of the legs. Plenty of room here for the baby to move around, move his or her legs up and down, and same thing with the top of the baby. Okay, this is really nice for containment of your babies. They really like to be swaddled, of course, as you all know, and they like some boundaries. And so this provides some boundaries for the baby. The other thing about containment for your child is you can place a blanket over top and tuck it into the mattress of the bed. We recommend that you do the blanket underneath the mattress of the bed so that you're not blocking any of our fans that are underneath the Skylife. Okay, so if I were to take a baby blanket, it would be over top, underneath the mattress of the baby, all the way around if you choose to do that, just not underneath the Skylife itself. And we have lots of institutions that are doing that today. Lots of mommies like their babies contained underneath a blanket. They feel like their baby's not hanging out naked on top of a light, and babies do much better. Your NAS children will also do much better with containment. So with the swaddle and the blankets over top, or just the swaddle itself, completely safe and effective for the light source. All of your light is still shining on the underside of the baby and enveloping the baby in the light source based on the way that these lights shine to the baby. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I'm just going to open up this swaddle. I really just want you to see the light, and then I'll put the swaddle back together again after we look at how the system turns on and the functionality of the settings of the system. Okay, so there's 2 components to the power of the Skylife. All right, there's a power cord coming out of the base of the Skylife itself, and that's plugging into a power bank. And the power bank is plugging into what I call our remote control. So our Skylife remote control is here. It is where you will turn on your system, how you will set your settings of the system, how you'll know how long the system has been running for this particular baby, and then where you'll shut the system off when you're finished. So 4 buttons on our remote control, one of which is named settings. There is a negative and positive button and then there is an on and off power switch. How do you know you have power to the system from your power cord that's plugged into the wall? You'll have a green LED indicator above the power on and off. To turn this system on, you're going to go ahead and depress the power button. You'll hear a beeping sound. The LED blue lights will turn on the Skylife, and then they will turn off. The self-test has happened when you hear the initial tone on the remote control and the blue light come on and go off. Self-test was on your screen and it would tell you if you passed or you failed. If you failed, of course, you need to contact your biomed and then they'll contact our technical support at the Neolite. But we've passed our self-test here on this device, and now what it's asking is press the positive button to start. And really, now you need to know what intensity level you wish for the system to run. Do you want it to run on low setting, high setting, or very high setting? And so I'm going to push the positive button, and you're going to see the light source go to low, and it tells me I'm in the low level on the device. Press the positive button one more time. I'm going to the high setting. It's telling me I'm in high level. It's also giving me a blue indicator LED, and it's telling me I am in high level. And I'm going to press that positive button one more time. And now it's going to tell me I'm in the very high level setting with an LED indicator underneath very high. So I'm providing an irradiance level here of 55 nanometers plus or minus 5 if I were to read with a radiometer. I'm on the very high setting. And the other thing that the device does is it keeps track of the number of seconds, minutes, or hours the child has been under phototherapy with this device. As long as this system is not turned off, it will continue to track the time that the baby has been under the lights. Lots of institutions have implemented hourly checks of babies, especially if they're out in mother baby, one of which is to record the level of intensity you're providing. One is to ensure the baby has eye protection on. And then the third is that you truly are running a clock and you have not turned off or turned on this system and interrupted treatment. So unfortunately, what we were saying with parents, because you can pause the system and shut the light down if you're providing care to the baby or feeding the baby, pressing the pause button is a simple click on the on and off. So I'm going to do that right now for you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press on and off, and it's going to give me an audible tone. The light turns off, and we have 3 flashing LEDs on the remote control. The system is in pause mode. You can now do whatever you need to do to the child. Feed them, change them, clean them, hold them, console them, whatever you need to do for as long as you need to do it. And then you go ahead and you press the start button. Light comes back on. You're back in the high setting automatically. And the system is now keeping track of the length of time the baby is on the lights. So unfortunately, what was happening if we weren't educating our parents properly was they were turning the system completely off, and 2 things were happening. One, our countdown clock was now clear, and so we had no idea how long the baby was on this light outside of our charting. And the second thing is when you turn the system off and back on, it automatically goes back to the low intensity setting. It does not set itself to high or very high, even if that was the previous setting. It's a safety feature for the next child to ensure we're prescribing the correct intensity for that baby. But sometimes it's detrimental to the child that's receiving treatment. We don't want to go to a low setting when truly we needed a very high setting because of their bilirubin numbers. Right. So remember, pause is a quick touch of the button. 3 LEDs always flashing to me to let me know I am truly in pause mode. And resume, and I'm back to that very high setting. And here it's telling me, okay, Kim, you have been on for 3 minutes. So it says 0-03 hours minutes. So 3 minutes I've been running phototherapy on this baby. So before we shut the system off and talk about cleaning and care of the system, let's just look at, and this may be difficult to see here, but I want you to see oh, I had great visibility on the screen and now it went completely blue. Okay, so I'm just going to point to, so our light sources are actually down the sides of the Skylife. Okay, I'll put this back down, and they're angled in such a way that they're pointing to the center of the Skylife device. So when I put a baby on top of this light, the light sources are now shooting towards the baby. And if you can see towards the side of this child, it really is moving up the sides of the baby. So that's why we can say we have 40% of surface area coverage, right? The competitors out there are at 6% or 10%. So we are significantly higher in surface area for a blanket or bed, if you will, which is what we're used to in the NICU and the nursery. So you really are enveloping that baby in phototherapy light, hence the reasoning for a decrease of phototherapy, or excuse me, of neonatal jaundice so fast. All right. So your swaddle would be on the baby, and you would allow the child to receive their treatment for however many hours or days they need to. And then we're ready to turn the system off and talk about how do we clean the system and what do we dispose of. So we're going to go back to our remote control here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to press the power button. But instead of just pressing it briefly to put it in pause mode, we're truly going to press and hold until the system turns off. Okay. The remote control is smart enough to tell you it was powering off. All of your LEDs minus the green one here will go off. Your screen will go black, and you can set this aside. You can unswaddle your baby from your cloud cover. All right, we'll remove the baby from the light source. We would remove and dispose of his eye protection, and then we would remove the cloud cover and dispose of it. Okay. And now we're ready to clean the system. So the manufacturing guidelines here from Neolite state that you're going to clean these with a super sani cloth. So you can go ahead and wipe the entire system, the top of the system, the bottom of the system, the sides, the cords, the remote control, and the power supply can all be cleaned with a super sani wipe. We don't want you to spray disinfectant on this and allow it to get into any crevices here. So truly just wipe it down. If you have disinfectant that you must use that is a spray, please spray it on paper towel and then go ahead and wipe the system down. Now, on the top of the Skylife, there is a nice gel mattress. So for those of you who have Skylife already, you know that this is very cushiony and soft for the baby. So the baby doesn't have any pressure points when they're laying on top of Skylife. And we all love the feel of the gel mattress on top. The gel mattress generally needs to be replaced every 6 months or approximately every 1,500 hours. So your biomedical department will take care of that, of course, and they'll either track the hours of use on the system, or perhaps they'll just put it in their 6 months to come back and check the system and see if they need to go ahead and replace the gel mattress. If you see any tears, punctures, discoloration of this gel mattress, you're going to want to let your your biomedical engineer know, and then they can reach out to our technical service and we'll figure out if they need replacement or what's happening with the gel mattress. One last thing that I should have mentioned earlier was on the remote control, it's keeping track of the number of hours the system is in use overall. So the light source within the Skylife the light sources will last for 25,000 hours of use before they degrade or need to be replaced, or perhaps just need to be looked at with a radiometer to make sure that the intensity is where we want it to be. And so your biomed will also check the levels of number of hours that the system has been in use. But 25,000 hours is quite a few hours before you have to get involved and contact your biomedical engineers. All right, so we've cleaned the system. We allow it to dry right after we use Super Sani wipes. We want to make sure that the system is dry. On occasion, we will wipe it one last time with either a damp cloth, if that's your protocol in the hospital, and then we're ready to store. If you have multiple Skylife devices, these actually will stack on top of one another. Up to 6 units can stack on top of one another, and then stored within your clean utility room. Generally a dark storage room where all of our equipment lives. I know there's going to be lots of phototherapy lights in your clean utility room, and the Skylife is no different. So that can live in there, stacked on top of one another if you choose to. Some institutions will clean them, put them in a plastic bag, and then stack them on top of one another. That's their protocol. It's completely up to your infection control and your environmental services on how they maintain clean equipment. Of course, you have cleaned your remote control, your power supply, and you can unplug it from the system if you wish and leave them, with the system so that you have all the parts and pieces that you need when you go back for the next baby. All right, so I'm just going to put my baby back here on the Skylife so you can see, and then I have my covers. And then I think what we will do next is open the line for some Q&A, Ryan.
Yeah. So I guess first off, that was very awesome, Kim. I'm sure if everybody was unmuted right now, we'd hear tons of applause, maybe some standing ovations. Kelly might be in tears. We're not sure. That was great. So we did have a couple questions come through. One that was nice and kind of quick little softball. When you had the controller up right there, you had the plus, the minus, and the power button. When it came to the settings button, would we ever use that or touch that?
Yeah, so great question. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the system on, and I'm going to talk you through the settings. So remember that the self-test has gone on, and what it does is it tells us how long that the system has run. This system has actually run for 64 hours, so we have lots of time left on my Skylife here. But on the settings here, it's going to tell us, if I click on the settings, it's going to go back and it's going to tell me what kind of software, hardware I'm running, and how many hours are on the lights. So as a regular bedside user, most likely you would never have to touch the settings button unless you were calling one of us at Neolight and saying, I may have an issue with my Skylife, or I'm not sure how many hours the system has run. And we'll ask you to turn the remote control on and check the settings for the number of hours. On occasion, we may need to know the software or hardware numbers. Again, if we were troubleshooting the system, and that's what's under the setting button as well.
Great. So it sounds like you can monitor a lot about the lights within the controller. When you do need to go and replace the light, I guess how easy is that?
Great question. So very easy and very friendly on the pocketbook compared to some of the competitors that are out there. So I'm going to move my baby, and I'm just going to show you the underside of the Skylife. Okay, so our light sources are actually living in these 2 long black panels underneath the system. There are 2 screws on either end where the light source is. Those screws come undone, the light source comes out, you replace your light source, back the cover, and 2 screws back in. So very easy, quick, and painless for biomed to take care of this.
That's awesome. So
we should not have lights out of service for any length of time because the process of replacing them is so long. It's not.
That's awesome. So those are the only questions we've gotten so far. If there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat room or send me a message. If not, there's actually some questions that kind of came up when I was watching it. It was a great informational talk. So with the baby's eye cover. I guess I know we do offer those in different sizes. Could you tell us a little bit more about those?
Sure. So we have 2 different sizes of, now you're making me second guess myself there, Ryan, but I'm almost positive it's 2 different sizes, and I have the list right here. We have a newborn size and a preemie size of the Posy eye protectors. We've all seen lots of different eye protection out there for babies. These are really simple and easy to use. I'm going to show you guys really quickly. It is one complete piece, so you don't have parts and pieces. Sometimes in other eye protections, you had a piece for the eyes, some Velcro in the back, and some eye patches inside. These, you do not have that. It is one complete piece out of the package. You literally slide it over the baby's head, and then you take this tongue and loop Velcro over top of the baby's head, attach it to the side here of the Velcro, and then you can clip off any excess from the Velcro that's hanging down the side of the baby. And thank you, Kelly. He is telling me that we also have a micro preemie size in Posy eye protection. So micro preemie, preemie, and newborn sizes. So 3 of those. And I'm just going to demonstrate. I'll put it back on this baby. So over the top of the head, covering the eyes. You can see that good. And then we're going to go ahead and take our Velcro piece over the top of the head and secure it on the piece of Velcro on the side, situate over the eyes, and now our baby is completely protected.
Great. So I guess we have one other question come through about asking if we use these for home therapy.
Thank you, April. Yes, so we have multiple folks that are using this out in the home. We have midwife groups that are sending these home with patients. We have different physicians in different parts of the country that are ordering this for home use. It's very easy for parents to obtain this from their pediatrician's office. It's very easy for us to teach them how to utilize a cloud cover and turn the system on and off. And we're also going to use, the timer for them to keep track of how long their babies are on phototherapy. Mommies always want to hold their babies, daddies want to hold their babies, and they don't realize that they've held their babies for an hour and they've been off the lights. Now we can keep track of the time that the baby has been on the lights, and we can tell them it truly is better in the short term for your baby to be on their light. Let's decrease their bilirubin and get them off the light so you can hold them as much as they wish. But absolutely for home use, this is fantastic. And we have some customers should you wish to talk to them, April. Thank you for your question.
Alrighty, any last questions before we go? Speak now or forever hold your peace. So I went ahead and shared my screen right here. That picture does too much justice for me, but there's our contact information, my phone number and email, along with Kim's and our corporate office, their phone, and how to get in touch. Correct. This recording will be available on our website, hopefully in the next day or two. So you'll be able to share that and go back and rewatch it. And if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. And thank you so much, Kim, for giving us that great rundown of the Skylife device. Oh, and we got one more question. So if you do want to leave, feel free. But we will continue answering questions here for the next 10 minutes or so till 11:45. But if you need to get to work, I don't blame you. So the question was, if one uses the cloud cover as opposed to the cloud cover plus, can a blanket still be tucked in? Great question.
Great question. And the answer is yes. You can use a blanket regardless of what cloud cover you use. Just ensure that it's tucked underneath the mattress of the bed that the baby is currently in, not under the Skylife. But yes, Alta, please use a blanket on either cloud cover. You're welcome. Fantastic. Thank you, Ryan.
No problem. All righty. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it now. I guess if there are any other questions, feel free to jot down our email or phone number, give us a call. We're free anytime. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.